My name is Brian, and welcome back to Desert Theory. Tonight, everything's out of order a little bit. We're out here on a Monday night. We are going to try and get the front end of this car buttoned up, back together, ready to race. Now, the rest of the car won't be ready, but the front end, we're hoping tonight is going to be complete and ready to go. So we obviously have shocks, hubs, wheel bearings, and brake calipers to put on. We just purchased it ourselves, so it's the Lyle bearing packer. We have never tried one before. So basically what you do is you put your bearing in here, you're gonna put this top cover on, and then you're gonna shove that bearing down through the grease, and it's gonna push that grease up through it. So like I said, we've never used it, but we're gonna try it right now.
Let's try it. I don't know how much grease is in there, but I packed all that we had in there. The rest of the grease comes, oh, see it coming out of there, Bri?
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, that's awesome. So packing these by hand, it seemed like it always took like a long time to make sure to fill all those voids.
It doesn't seem like it. It just does.
It does take a long time to fill all those voids. So I was like, you know what? We've never had one of these and I want to try it. But it totally fills the bearing with grease. That's pretty cool. So trailer bearings, race car wheel bearings, anything like that. That's a pretty handy tool. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can really see on this thing how well that grease came up through there. So yeah, first impression is that takes about not even a quarter of the time. We're both pretty impressed with it so far. Okay, so just grabbing the second bearing. We're actually going to run out of grease. We have some grease on the way. We got it second day aired, but the second day will be tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. That's okay. We have lots to do tonight.
So within a few minutes, so within 30 seconds of this video, we're not going to have the front end buttoned up, but we'll have it closer. I feel like it would be easier if you weren't so skinny.
I need more weight. Nope, I think it's, yep, it's good. A little bit more. There it is.
Okay, so Kelly put that bearing down in there, and you can see it sitting in there. So now this is going on the back side. So this back part of the hub will be going right up against here. So that bearing would just be throwing grease out all over the brake, the caliper, all that. So that's why this seal goes on here. So this seal will go around and see how it slides here, and then it goes up against the shoulder. So that's what keeps that grease inside there.
So we could take it to the little press and press it in. Brian's gonna manhandle this thing into submission. Good. More.
So on that, you can see it's all down there flush now.
Just kind of give that seal a little grease.
So you can see that hub slid on nicely. See its tight clearances? It's right up against the back of that spindle. And now we're moving over where Kelly's going to slide the, it kind of keeps the bearings spaced apart to where you don't crush your bearings in. I don't know the name of it. What's the name of it, Kelly?
It's like a bearing spacer, I guess. So you can just tighten this nut down. These are taper bearings. So you can tighten them down and they just come up against, everything gets tight and it sets the proper bearing preload.
Okay. And this is like they always say, lefty tighty, righty loosey.
So our old hubs had an O-ring, like a flange with an O-ring. When you push this on, it would keep water out.
So yeah, the O-ring would kind of sit around here.
Yeah,
these just don't have anything. It's just a flat surface on both.
Yeah.
So when we pulled them off, there was definitely a little layer of RTV or something.
Yeah. So I'll just clean that up. You got the hub nut tight? The pinch bolt?
Pinch bolt's tight.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just putting the brake caliper back on, and you got to kind of keep that hose, figure out the way it wants to lay naturally. So Kelly talked to Kevin McMullen today. Transaxle's going through a few more tests on the ring and pinion. Everything else looked good. Well, I take that back. First gear's gone, so the gear set's bad. That needs to be changed.
We kind of knew that.
Yep. When we started our second race, we didn't talk about it a lot, but we knew it wasn't correct.
It wasn't happy. It was very noisy.
Just in first. So we thought we had some issues. We did a lot of late nights out here deciding if we were going to try and race it or not. And that was the race we were going to meet the Millennial Farmer. So we decided to go for it no matter what. And he ended up having to cancel at the last minute. But understandably so. He had a tornado tear down all of his shop and barns and everything. So but we finished.
We went and they're like, well, we're already signed up. Let's go. Let's try it. I mean, the rest of the gears were good.
Start finish where we had to stop. Everywhere else was a rolling checkpoint. So the only place where we really used first is one time we let a car pass and we really had to get on it in first gear to not get stuck. So
yeah, that's true. That was the trophy truck that passed us, and I probably shouldn't have pulled over right there, but
it's intense when somebody's passing.
He was on me.
And we don't want to get,
and I don't want to hold anybody up. So yeah, we didn't want to get bumped, and we didn't want to just pulled off, let them by.
All right, wire tying, safety tying. One of my least favorite things to do.
It's a good thing you're not an airplane mechanic.
Yeah.
You'd be doing this every, 10,000 of those things on every airplane.
Okay, so the whole purpose of a wire tie is to be able to put this on here, or safety tie, is to be able to put this on here, run it through here, and then have these not back out. It's like Loctite, but it's a visible Loctite that they could inspect at a race, or you could inspect at a pit stop, just to make it that much safer. We went through the top one, came down, twisted the whole way, and now we're just going to twist this bottom one, and then we'll cut that off and kind of bend it over. So now that should not be able to spin. Okay, now a professional wire tire, they maybe would have come over the top of this bolt and then down and then made sure to get on here to where you couldn't, but
we're just hobbyists.
We're hobbyists. So some people that loved doing safety wire tie,
they could come to the shop and knock themselves out.
They might be a little upset with me. Okay, so a long time ago, if you watched the channel, you saw that we had a bad battery. We have 2 batteries in this, and we were kind of messing around one night, and Kelly actually was like, man, that doesn't sound right. And we started working on it. And so the battery's bad. So it's a brand new one.
Yeah. It was replaced right before we bought the car, and unfortunately, it's not good anymore. This one's still running strong, so we'll just replace one of them.
And as you can see, it's a fairly tight fit to get it out of here.
This thing is shoehorned in here pretty nice.
Well, this is really hard to do with the camera. I'm just going to pull it up right there. I made Kelly do all of that so I could film it. And I don't think I did a good job of filming it. Whoops.
Anyway.
But it does come out of there, so that's a positive.
It is perfect fit.
Okay, so we got the bottom shock on. It's a long bolt getting in there. Kelly's holding that backside. See, I don't love this.
How much slack is there, Brian? Oh yeah. Play with some ride height stuff.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is neither of us love that there's just there's kind of some slack here, and that can kind of create some issues.
It's also, we feel like the ride height when it's just sitting is a little low in the front end, and it's because there's not a lot of spring tension here. So we're gonna set a little preload, add a little preload here. Not big changes, but just little ones. All right, so you have the Allen wrench? Yeah, you have the Allen wrench there to loosen that guy. And you have the proper tool for that.
I do not.
That's something that. Okay. Something that you should never do, Brian, but we always do. Do you want a tape measure?
Yeah.
Okay. 5 3/8.
Let's call that good.
Okay. So
5 1/2.
5 1/2. Okay.
Perfect. So now give me 2 inches down the bottom of that.
So 2 inches from the bottom of this collar or down up in here?
No, bottom of this top color.
Okay.
If we take it out and test it and everything's all crazy, we can do that with the bypasses on.
Yeah.
If we had to, we could take a bypass off. Super simple.
We could do it. It's easy. But just adds a little preload to those. Like, I want to see what it does.
We came down 1 inch on this. Well, both of us got a little nervous about such a big adjustment. With 1/2 inch, everything's still tight and has good preload. So we changed it to a 1/2 inch difference that we made. So the coils are all tight, even at full extension.
Full extension, but we just moved that a 1/2 inch. Made us feel better. Not as big of a change. And we just needed a car to come up a little bit. So let's start there. All right, B. Shock bolt right here. I can't see where I'm at here. Look at you. Okay, tight.
I say we do shocks and then I can go home and do a bunch of editing and you can get to bed early and we'll be ready for Wednesday. What do you think? So Kelly,
I know the camera was
Kelly just asked about the crank trigger sensor, which we washed the car. We got back from the race, we washed the car, and then it wouldn't start. And then we traced it back to the crank trigger sensor wire. And there was a spare one in the kit that we had, so we changed it and it worked. But we don't know why that was changed. So I think hold off on that, at least get a price. If it's...
I think I priced them and they were like $120.
$120 for a little sensor and a wire. So perfect. If you're looking for a way to spend money, go racing.
Yeah, it's a surefire way to drain your pocket.
Okay, so we just got the coil shock on. It's exactly like the other side. Okay, moving to the King 3.0.
Oh, that's a lot better.
Okay, so like an idiot, I didn't put my gloves on before we started this little project of pulling some stuff out of the rear hub. So we decided to clean up one more piece, take it out. We're gonna take these seals in the back and then take these bearings out and clean them up tonight too. So it's all gonna be ready for new grease tomorrow. But because I didn't put my gloves on, I spent the last 10 minutes washing my hands. And so we missed some stuff on camera, but basically this is what we took out. And so this comes through and it ends up bolting to the CV.
Yeah, CV joint bolts up here. It actually centers up in the bearing there on this surface, and then the dust seal rides on this. And then this aluminum piece is where the CV boot goes. So
it kind of does a bunch of things in there. It helps. It's what part of the car rides on. It's a dust seal.
And it holds all the CV joint and rear hub assembly. Those 6 bolts go through into this ring, and then the CV boot goes over here and gets clamped on this surface. CV or axle goes straight through here. So it's the other half of this bearing that's still in the hub. And so we need to get them cleaned, get them taken apart, inspect them. So we got to where we had ran out of grease. So we're like, let's spend another 20 or 30 minutes and get the rear prepped for when we get grease tomorrow. And be out here in a couple days, I guess.
So I'm gonna grab some sort of tool here. I don't remember what. We'll try with the screwdriver and we'll get these dust seals out of here.
Hello, coming.
Nice save, Kel.
Got it. Get all this cleaned up. Unfortunately, the bearing packer does not quite work on this.
Do the other side here. Yeah, the same thing.
Well, I guess, so this is the right one. I have not cleaned this one up yet. Have you done the left one yet?
No.
Since the bearing looks perfect on the
Kind of a bummer, but then kind of a really good thing. So when we got to looking at this, you can see this spot right here. So I don't know if when we washed it.
Man, I was really careful to cover those axles. But, you know, it's possible.
I don't know if we just had some water run in there and it went right to the bottom, which is still amazing with as well as the grease was on there, that we have such an issue there. But that race is toast. So,
You know, we'll see if the bearing might be done too. Probably.
so that's really, it's stuff like that.
That's why you do it.
That's why you take all this stuff apart. So we'll have to take this race and take it out of there, put the new race in. If we would have got lazy, I shouldn't even say lazy. If we would have ran out of time, if we would have decided to not do that, that could have been the difference in finishing the race and then having a whole hub, tire, axle. I mean, it can cause so much damage so quick, or if it all comes apart when you're doing 100 miles an hour. So that's why you take it all apart, because you're doing that extra 10%. You're going as fast as you can go, trying to go across the desert, and you got to have everything perfect. So he's gonna stop cleaning that, but you can see right here. See how there's rust and kind of some pitting on those bearings.
It's flaking.
It wouldn't last. There's too much weight and pressure. And
once they start flaking, the chrome's gone. They're junk.
what we always do when we wash our race cars is we wash them and then we start it up and run it, let everything get hot, and then we run it up and down the road. And it really displaces water and it helps with so many things. Well, if I remember, I was telling you about the crank sensor. This thing wouldn't start. So we washed it and then pushed it into the shop, and then we fought trying to figure out what it was for quite a while. So
I think it's on us.
I think it's on us. We didn't, and then after we did get it running, we didn't go down the road with it. So I think we earned this bearing. So not the bearing's fault.
This one okay?
That's us. Okay, so as you can see,
She's a beauty.
these races and bearings look great on the driver's side, passenger side, totally jacked up. They're gone. So we'll have to get those out of there. So a little bit of extra work, but man, it's a lot better to do it in the shop here. So Kelly found these. We had a spare parts bin, and he found these in there. He's just cleaning them up. They were greasy, but we believe it's just because that's how they package and send them. So I believe it's brand new. So I think all we need to really do is turn on the air compressor, blow those out so the solvent's not sitting in there.
Yep.
And
Brand new. We're good.
So something that McMillan's did that's just awesome in my opinion is everything's labeled. We don't have to try and figure anything out. Left rear, driver, this one's right, passenger. They just did an awesome job of marking everything. When we take it out of here, we can just take it out, and then at that point we clean it, and it's already all labeled, every piece of it. So pretty neat how they did that. So we were almost out of here, and then we got to talking about how we were going to get this race out and then back in. As you can see, it's big, and we decided we're going to press it and we're going to take it off. Instead of trying to do it on the arm itself, we're just going to buzz all these bolts in the back off.
And that'll help us reassemble it. To get it off, the only way I've ever done it is to weld it, TIG weld or something on it. TIG weld, run a little weld on that erase, and the heat shrinks it, and then the erase just falls right out. Putting it back in and getting it all square, it's going to take a press. So
it's just going to be easier to do at the big
I can do it at my shop. I can make, really it's just the tool to press it. I can turn something on the lathe that'll just press that race, and it'll be the right size, and it'll take me like 15 minutes with the right tools.
So a little more time tonight. It's going to save us a lot of time tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, guys, it snuck up. It got too late again, but we got we got this done. Front left of the car is done. We've taken some more stuff apart. It is what it is. We had more than we anticipated tonight. We found some other things that were bad on a night where we thought we were going all back together, but we found it here in the shop. And I can't tell you how much easier it is to fix it here in the shop and not on race day. And that's just a dangerous one to have on the track. So we're both super pumped that we found it here. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it pressed out, pressed in, get the seals in, and we'll see. I'm not gonna try and promise anything for next Wednesday. We're gonna come here, we're gonna work on what we have, and we'll see what we get done. But it's getting closer, so pretty excited. We're ready for race day 2. Thanks for sticking with us in the shop here every day. It's been a lot of work on the shop, but we're getting closer to racing. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.